Hi everyone, it's Sarah Gray from Funky Fossil here. Very warm welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, then it's lovely to see you, and if you are a returning viewer, thank you very much for coming back to see what else I've got in store for you. And today's video is part of the September Crafting Together with All Brands YouTube hop. The theme for us this month is Scraptember, so we're going to be doing some memory keeping, and particularly for this particular hop we're going to be using a photograph in our project. So it's something quite different for me. I don't do scrapbooking or a lot of memory keeping, but actually even doing this video and thinking about things I could do has got me thinking about maybe doing a bit more of that in future. So let me quickly run through the products that I'm going to use in the project today, and then we'll just jump straight into it. So I'm going to go with a fairly summer themed project because the photograph I'm going to use is of my two boys, my two sons, from our summer holidays. So I wanted to keep with that kind of summery vibe. I'm going to use our A5 Blooming Tropical stamp set with these gorgeous hibiscus flowers on it. I'm going to use our Funky Words dies, which are great for adding sentiments to scrapbook pages. So that'll be making an appearance. Because we're using a photograph, then I wanted to use our film strip dies because I think that's going to be a nice way of framing the image. Also got our surfboard, our fabulous kind of layering surfboard dies here, so I'll be adding a surfboard in the background again to give a nod to that beach theme. And the colours are going to kind of come from our watercolour rainbow paper pad because I just love the kind of watercolory vibrant effects that you can get through these papers. So the dyes in these papers combine perfectly to create a kind of a summer project. I'm going to be creating in my Pink Pig journal. I think this is an 8x8. I haven't used this one, so I'm kind of thinking that this is the one I'm going to keep dedicated for memory keeping type layout. So I'm excited to make a start on it. So I think the key thing that I'm wanting to do with this layout is I'm wanting to kind of keep a cluster in this corner here, just and not fill the whole page. And obviously I've got my photograph, which is going to be the focal point that I want to build around. And I've printed it out in black and white, just literally on a regular paper. Our printer isn't amazing either, so I thought black and white was the best way to go, and it also means that I can put lots of colour behind it, and that will enable the photograph to pop. So that's our kind of starting point, this corner, that photograph. And what I want to do, and I'm going to show you how I do this, is to create that look of kind of an old world, kind of a photo negative. So I've actually die cut the larger of the film strip dies out of acetate, and I've coloured it with alcohol inks to give that real kind of, you know, when you used to get photos processed and you got the negatives back with the actual photographs, and it had this kind of, let's say, it was this kind of texture. It's just really perfect look. I've also coloured the main photo strip from the film strip dies just because I thought it looked brilliant too. So let's start with doing that, because that's probably a bit of the project that maybe will be less familiar to some of you. And what I'm going to do is just take a piece of paper here. I've already cut out the film strip dies from the acetate. I've used relatively light acetate for this project. I found that the really heavy weight, the kind of more construction weight acetate, the dies didn't really take to it. What I did use was a piece of copy paper alongside the acetate as well when putting it through the die cutting machine, just to give the die a little bit more kind of substance to work through. but it's cut them really, really well. So we're going to colour these die cuts, and I'm just going to turn them over. It doesn't really matter whether you do front or back, to be honest. I'm going to use alcohol inks for this, and I'm just going with alcohol inks that I've got in my stash, so the different brands. I've got the Jacquard Pinata black alcohol ink, and I've got a Ranger espresso alcohol ink. So I just didn't want to go completely with the black, because I think those kind of old photo negatives had a kind of browny tinge to them. I can't find anywhere my square blending tool for that take the alcohol ink felts. So I've literally just cut one down to go around in the circle. I didn't really need to cut it down at all, to be honest, but I just thought it might flap about a bit if I didn't cut it roughly to the shape of the blending tool. And I'm just going to dot quite generously black and then a few spots of the brown onto my blending felt. There's no precision needed here. We're just wanting to transfer the colour, and I've just got some white paper here, partly so you can see what I'm doing. It wouldn't be very visible against the black glass mat, but also just so that I could contain my mess a little bit. So as you can see, just dabbing this on, and you can build up the colour as much as you want. Just let that one dry before we put any more on. We can just have a little play with a larger one. I'm not planning to use it on this particular project, but it'll definitely go into my stash. A bit more black. Got a bit So I mean, alcohol ink will work on the acetate beautifully, because of course it's designed to work on any non-porous surface. So anything with this kind of plastic will take the alcohol ink, and of course it dries really quickly as well, which is another bonus. But it does give a great look. So just tapping that all over. And I've got one done already, as you saw earlier, so I don't need to spend too long doing these, but I am fairly confident I'll be using this in some other project, because I do like the look. So that's plenty. You could, I'm guessing, just literally spot the inks over the acetate, but I just figured I'd use less this way, because it's not a solid piece of acetate. Equally, I guess you could colour it before you die cut it. I just thought it would be easier to do it this way. So this has just turned it over to the front side, and hopefully if I'm holding up to the camera there, you can get a bit of a sense that it has quite a mottled look, but keeps that shine of the negative. So I think that will frame our photo beautifully. So let's get the journal back in shot. And so if I stick this film strip around the image where I want it to go, I can then just trim away the bits of the photograph that I don't want to be visible behind it, and we can start to build up a layout around it. Don't need to put a lot of glue on here. So I just decided I'd print out the picture slightly larger than I needed it, so I'd have a surface to glue onto. And because I've not added glue, oops, it's a bit squiffy, isn't it? There we go. because I've not added glue around the outsides of the acetate, I'll be able to trim the paper away where I don't want it. I'm just going to give that a second to set though, and let that glue grab the acetate and the paper. So I've already cut some elements that I know I'm going to want to use on this layout. I mean, arranging them will be different matter. So this is the surfboard dies, and all I've done is die cut the solid base, and on this occasion I've used the Sunray as the top layer. I've cut them both out of the same sheet of paper on the watercolour rainbow pad so that they match each other, and to give the embellishment more dimension, I've cut out further layers in white kind of cardstock, so it's built it up and made sure that the top layer has a little bit more definition and stands proud of the solid base. So we'll have a surfboard on our layout, and I want to use some of these hibiscus flowers, and all I've done to create these is stamp them in black ink on the watercolour rainbow paper pad. So I've just stamped them to ensure I get that kind of variegated look of the different petals, along with some of the big leaves that come from that set as well, which I think are just gorgeous. So we'll have a look. I mean, as you can well imagine, I could fiddle around at this for a long time. I'm just literally just trying to kind of cluster things together at the moment so I can work out where I want my stenciling to go. So to create the sentiment, I've got Smile, which is one of the Funky Words dies, and as I did with the surfboard, I've layered that up probably about 4 times onto black cardstock to give the sentiment a little bit of dimension. So we're going to have things, I think I might put another flower in there. Probably will actually. That's our cluster in that corner. But I do want to add a bit of stenciled interest in the background. And let's go in and do that now that we kind of broadly can get a sense of where the actual imagery is going to sit. Now, obviously I've not got my phone to take a photo of this because I'm filming with it, but if you did want to, if you were happy with a layout that you'd created and you wanted to then go and do some further work, take a picture of it so that you can remember how to reposition things afterwards. But I think I've broadly got the gist of where I'm going to go with it. So I want to add some sun rays coming out from the cluster that we will have stuck down. Excuse me. And so let me get some fossilized amber, and I think I'm going to blend a little bit of yellow onto the paper first. So, and one of the nice things about blending brushes is you don't need to worry too much about getting any kind of harsh lines when you're applying ink to the middle of a sheet of paper. So I'm really kind of eyeballing where I think the outer edges of that cluster will be, just to soften the sun rays that I then add in. And you can see, and we'll put some of them just, and I think the sun rays will echo the design that I've got on the surfboard nicely as well, which has that sun ray look to it. I'm not going down straight up to the edges of the stencil because I don't want it to look like it's a square. So I want the rays to look like they're kind of fading out a little bit. I'm not going all the way around either. Now let's just add a little bit of definition to the rays so they don't get lost in the yellow. And so I'm going to use some abandoned coral here. Just getting a blending brush that's got pink on it. And you can see as I'm blending out here, I'm kind of getting the brush to go along where the rays are. So I'm not going side to side. I would increase the chances of me kind of disturbing the stencil and blurring the image. So again, where you do have a direction that you can follow with your blending brush, it's always good to do that. So I think that would be a nice background accent. And the other stencil that I'd picked out as kind of going with the theme of this particular photo is this kind of beach life. So it's just got lots of words in it. So if I'm not going to use the whole stencil, I just put some little touches of it around the two edges of where the sun ray is. And if I go in with peacock feathers, then I'm not wanting to overlap with the stenciling that's down too much, because I'll start to kind of get a mix of colours going on. So I'm just gonna, and a lot of this will get covered up as you know from the cluster of elements we're going to add to it, but you will always get something peeking through that again just extends the design and extends the theme. Catch most of ocean there. So of course this is a hop, so there are some fantastic creatives who've made videos with their take on this this month's Scraptember theme of using a photo. So the links to all of their channels, participants' channels, will be under this video, and hopefully you'll be hopping along to get lots more inspiration. And certainly if you're somebody like me that maybe hasn't done so much with the kind of memory keeping kind of style of layout in the past, then they'll have lots that will get us all kind of into that mode. So you can see now this stenciling, very basic stenciling, oxides over the stencil, is just going to kind of give us a frame, I guess, for the images that we have already identified, and then we can start building them back up and deciding what, if any, of that stenciling we want to stay visible. Well, let me just trim now that I think my paper has adhered. This doesn't need to be perfect or neat, it's just taking that line of the photograph out from the edges. I'm using a massive pair of scissors to do that job. Maybe I should go with something smaller before I cut my die. And then this side as well. Luckily I do have two of these, so if I do end up creating mayhem, I can there we go. I can always go to my to my backup. So let's place my two boys just under that sun ray, that sunshine. Well, I have this here. The smile should stand out still against that stencil wording because it's in the black. And then, of course, by using the same paper pad, everything's going to coordinate perfectly, isn't it? Which takes more of the decision making out of it for us. Well, I'm just going to pop these like this so you can see the layout. Again, I could spend a long time doing this, but I figured you're not really going to want to watch me muck about with it for that long. Put another bit of greenery here just to extend it out. So yeah, I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do is just adhere that all down and come back to you with the finished layout. Okay then, here we have the finished layout. I've stuck everything down And the only things I've done off camera is added a little bit of splatter. I've used Pearly Wink's Colour Pop to do that, so that's a nice kind of bright yellow ink to kind of extend the sunshine. I changed the positioning of the sentiment, the smile sentiment, and moved that up a bit, and I think I did some white highlights as well to the flowers. But really, that is as simple as it gets. So just clustering elements around your focal point, adding that kind of effect with the negative on the film strip die with the acetate and alcohol ink, a little bit of stenciling in the background, and some lovely warm sunny colours. So I hope you like that layout, and also seeing me create something with a photograph in it as part of our Scraptember hop this month. As I say, do pop along and see all the other participants in the hop and leave them comments. Hopefully you will like and subscribe to my channel, and if there's anything you see me use in the video today that catches your eye, then you can find them all in store at funkyfossil.co.uk. And one final thing to note is that the Funky Words die set is currently on offer at £6, so I think it's over half price off, so definitely worth getting if you see yourself creating something along these lines. Thank you so much for watching and for your time, and I hope to see you again soon on the Funky Fossil YouTube channel. Take care for now. Bye.